Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Chapter 1, Section C of New Textbook Real Statistics, a Radical Approach covers the central importance of knowledge. The rise and fall of civilizations is intimately related to knowledge. Ibn Khaldun initiated the study of this subject, and he compared civilizations to organisms which are born, grow, mature, and die. This theme was picked up by Western historians, especially Gibbon, who wrote The Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire. Actually, many factors govern the rise and fall of civilizations, but we will oversimplify and focus on the role of knowledge, which is of central importance. Our materialistic training teaches us to believe in wealth, weapons, technology as the central factor, and it ignores the role of knowledge. Putting knowledge at the center, we see that dark ages of Europe began after the Council of Nicaea when Emperor Constantine imposed Trinitarian Christianity by force and excluded all other types of knowledge. With the whole world in darkness, the rise of Islam began when Allah Ta'ala gave new knowledge to mankind, which we did not have. Islam encourages the search of knowledge. Angels prostrated before Adam alayhi salam when he was given knowledge. The ink of the scholars is more precious than the blood of the warriors, and all of the creation prays for those who travel in search of knowledge. Living in the computer age, we do not realize the central importance of libraries as the hard disks containing knowledge for civilization. From the knowledge-centric perspective, the decline of Islamic civilization began when the Mongols burned the library of Baghdad, destroying an immense amount of knowledge in the process. And the enlightenment of Europe began when the reconquest of Toledo from Al-Andalus gave them access to a huge number of books in the libraries, and they started the translation project. This influx of knowledge from the libraries of Islamic Spain ended the dark ages of Europe.
For about 2 centuries, translations of major Arabic textbooks were taught in Europe. A lot of this incoming knowledge was in conflict with Catholic teachings, and therefore the Church set up an inquisition to make sure that all translations conformed to Orthodox doctrine. But this conflict could not be managed, and eventually the Church split into factions of Protestants and Catholics, and they fought bloody wars for over a century. This had a tremendous impact on shaping European intellectual history. Christianity was recognized to be a source of bloody battles and rejected as a basis for organizing society. Rejecting the moral foundations of Christianity led to the secular pursuit of worldly pleasures, and this led to the global conquest and colonization by Europe. Instead of paradise in the afterlife, the Europeans sought to construct paradise in this world, unconstrained by any moral considerations from Christianity. And so the pursuit of pleasure and power and wealth became the goal of life, and social science became the way to achieve these worldly treasures. There is no God, there are no rules, and you should just play life as in a jungle. You can do whatever it takes to acquire power. Darwin's theory also supported this idea that human beings are animals and we live in a jungle, and the only rule is survival of the fittest. The question is often asked, why did Europeans conquer the globe as opposed to some other nation? And the answer is very surprising by those who have examined it, that it was enabled by a comparative advantage in violence. Because Europeans had abandoned all moral foundations, they were able to inflict ruthless violence on other human beings and civilizations. And this also follows the standard pattern of history that energetic young barbarians destroy established mature civilizations. So the Europeans colonized the globe, but what is colonization? We think of it as physical conquest, but it's primarily the conquest of minds. A small minority cannot rule a large population against their will, so it is necessary to reshape their thoughts in order to accept this colonization. In India, Macaulay designed an educational system which would create admiration and awe of the European civilization and hatred and contempt for local culture, heritage, language, religion. An example of this phenomenon is Salman Rushdie, whose three novels, one he ridicules his own family and culture, the other ridicules his nation and people, and the third ridicules his religion and heritage. Colonization ended a long time ago, but the modern educational system produces exactly the same effects because it teaches only Western knowledge produced by the Western intellectual tradition. So automatically, it teaches the students that none of the other civilizations produced any knowledge worth having. So this educational system produces a superiority complex in the West and an inferiority complex in the East. Why does this educational system continue? After liberation, we should have replaced it. The answer to this is that the educated and powerful elites that came into power after liberation continued exactly the same policies as the colonials. They continued to exploit their own countries and to extract revenue just like the colonizers because they had been trained to be uh, imitators and followers of the West and to hate their own people. So the problem facing us today is to counteract the effect of Western education, which trains people to admire and respect Western intellectual achievements. And poet Iqbal has said that my eyes were not dazzled by the brilliance of Western knowledge, they were protected by the dust of Medina and Najaf. So actually the superficial brilliance of Western intellectual achievements has dazzled our eyes, and this prevents us from appreciating the deep wisdom of the Quran. So the challenge facing the Muslims is that modern Western knowledge is based on toxic moral foundations. We must expose these foundations, which are hidden, and rebuild the entire stock of human knowledge and sound foundations provided by Islam. And that is what we call the Ghazali Project. This course in real statistics is an illustration of the Ghazali Project. Modern statistics has been built on racist foundations by Sir Ronald Fisher, who was the professor of eugenics. He had 8 children to propagate the white race, and he refused to sign the UN Declaration on Equality of the Races because he believed that there is firm scientific evidence for inequality of intellectual capabilities of the different races. Modern statistics has fundamental flaws because of these toxic moral foundations. Our new course aims to rebuild the entire discipline on new foundations, just in line with the aims of the Ghazali Project.